It's October and gardening for me is basically done. I don't carry my gardening as far into the winter as possible. Whatever is growing right now, that's it. I let it run its course and then I put my garden beds to bed. But there's always one thing I plant in October. As I said, I'm not one that tries to push the envelope too far. I'll start my seeds early in the spring. This year is actually the first time I planted a fall garden, and those are the carrots and beets and peas that I planted beginning of last month or so. I view this as harvest time, and then it's time to take a break. But there are some things that need to be planted so that you can grow them next year, and of course, I'm talking about garlic. That's the one thing I always plant in October, although last year I planted it in November. There's a rule of thumb that says you plant garlic around Columbus Day. I'm not quite sure why that is, but generally you plant garlic about 4 weeks before your first fall frost, which that would make it around October 1st that I should be planting my garlic. But I've always found I've gotten a lot of green growth on my garlic by planting it then. So I actually planted it around Columbus Day and still got a lot of growth, because although my first fall frost averages around November 1st, October 31st, right around there, you get that one hit of frost, but then it's warm up until December sometime. So last year I planted it mid-November, and actually I still got more growth than I really wanted on it, but it was much less than what I would have gotten had I planted it the month before. So although I'm saying I'm going to be planting it in October, I may actually push it off until November. Haven't quite decided yet. Last year I might have benefited from the mild winter we had. I think we only had 2 real snowstorms, and they weren't all that much. My snowblower never made it out of storage. So I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to push it into November again or start now, just in case we get a much harder winter than we had last year. I'm probably going to be going, certainly if I do it in October, I'm going to be going closer to the end of the month. I'm really thinking about leaning more towards the first week of November or so. Like I said, I did it around the 15th of November last year, so I might back it off a little bit from that, but not so much that I'm starting at the beginning of October either. Let me show you my garlic. I'm using the garlic that I saved. I took some of my biggest bulbs and put them aside. They've been sitting in my refrigerator for the past 2-3 months. They probably didn't need to be sitting in a refrigerator because they'll get the frost days over winter at some point, whether it's December, January, February. But I like to store them in the refrigerator until I'm ready to plant them. That way they don't have the risk of sprouting again. Most of my garlic previously that I harvested was turned into minced garlic, and I use that now when I cook. I still have a couple of bulbs left over, put aside, that my wife uses for cooking. But as I said, most of it was turned into minced garlic. But I have about 8 to 10 bulbs, I think. I'll show you in a second. I have about 8 to 10 bulbs set aside, though, that have been in the refrigerator. They are, again, were the biggest bulbs. And I'll be using those to plant when I plant them. So this is my garlic that I saved from last year. I put it into an old onion sack. And as I said, these are some of my bigger bulbs. So I'm figuring a bigger bulb equals a bigger bulb, or a bigger clove equals a bigger bulb. This one seems to have had some issues, so I'm going to take that one out. All these are firm. So there's usually anywhere from 5 to 7 cloves in one of these bulbs. This is the music variety, and it's a hard neck variety, which does better in the colder weather. I'll end up breaking these stems off, peeling off each of the cloves, and planting the cloves in the garden. So, but I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. It'll be about 50 cloves of garlic, which should be more than sufficient for me. This is my minced garlic. It's in a quart jar, preserved in oil, olive oil, and it lasts almost the full year that I would need it until the next harvest of garlic. If it doesn't quite make it all the way, I can just buy a small jar then, but this should be sufficient for my cooking needs. So to reiterate, this is wind down time now for me. I'll be going through the garden. My Roma tomatoes are almost finished, and I'll be cleaning up the garden and preparing for putting it to bed. So if you want to see what we were doing in the garden last week, check out this video right here, and then subscribe and hit that notification bell. And that way you'll be able to follow along in the progress on all of our vegetables as we try to grow a supermarket in our own backyard. Okay, thanks for watching.